following story took place in the summer of 2005. I lived in Georgia and attended the University of Georgia. My girlfriend, who is now my wife, lived in Atlanta, which is about a 65-mile drive from Athens, Georgia. The highway connecting Athens and Atlanta is a two-lane road known as Highway 316. This information becomes crucial for the story. It was a Sunday evening, and the road was relatively empty, as many students had gone home for the summer. I was driving my black BMW SUV, casually cruising while enjoying some music. I hadn't seen any cars for miles when I approached one of the traffic lights along Highway 316. The light turned red, and I came to a stop next to an older Mustang. It looked like an ADS-5 litter model, black with a ragtop. The Mustang had tinted windows, but I didn't think much of it. I just waited for the light to turn green. When the light turned green, the Mustang suddenly accelerated with a screech of its tires, as if the driver had floored the gas pedal from a standstill. The car sped far ahead of me, which surprised me a bit, but I thought nothing more of it. I continued my drive, back in a relaxed state, when suddenly a car with high beams appeared behind me. I wondered what was going on. I quickly realized it was the same Mustang from earlier. The Mustang changed lanes and pulled up next to me, matching my speed for a few seconds and then speeding ahead. It then moved back into my lane, abruptly braking, forcing me to swerve into the other lane. The Mustang once again pulled up beside me, attempting to knock me off the road by swerving at my vehicle. It then sped up and tried the braking maneuver once more. At this point, I was extremely anxious. I'm a 6'3", 220-pound male who works out regularly, and I don't scare easily. However, my size didn't matter in this situation. I noted the Mustang's license plate and grabbed my cell phone, but as I did, the Mustang was suddenly beside me again, swerving aggressively. My phone flew out of my hands and into the passenger side door. The Mustang then trailed behind me, flashing its brights, tailgating me, and repeatedly honking while swerving side to side. Abruptly, it sped out of sight. I collected myself, took a deep breath, and drove the remaining 10 minutes to the turnoff leading to my town. I made a quick decision to drive to the local police station to file a report. I had memorized the license plate number, which I had been repeating in my mind. The police station was fairly small, and I believe there was only one officer on duty. He suggested that it was probably a case of mistaken identity or a stolen license plate, which left me completely freaked out. After completing the police report, I headed home. While on the phone with my girlfriend, someone loudly banged on my garage door several times, followed by screeching tires. I never saw the car, but I immediately called the police. They arrived, but nothing was found, and I didn't sleep for several nights. That was the end of the ordeal. During my time in Starkville, Mississippi, I had a business meeting in Baton Rouge on Friday morning. I had recently purchased a brand new, heavy-duty 2013 Ford truck, fully equipped with tool compartments due to my job selling tools. The night before my business meeting, I decided to celebrate by staying out late. I planned to return home, take a short nap, shower, and then embark on the 4-hour drive to Baton Rouge, my usual route. The night had concluded in the college town of Starkville, where everything typically closes at midnight during the week. I returned to my place, immediately collapsed on my couch, set a 2-hour alarm, and managed to get a brief nap. Upon waking, I prepared for my journey and went through my checklist, a habit I developed from past work-related incidents. I left Starkville, heading toward Baton Rouge on Highway 25 South. It was late, between 3 and 4 in the morning, and the area was quite desolate, with no other cars on the road, which was a common occurrence in the region during weeknights. In the distance, I spotted flashing emergency lights and a broken-down van with a man underneath it. He had a flat tire and a smoking engine. I thought it was an excellent opportunity to use the new air tire machine I had recently acquired for my truck, as I enjoyed helping people whenever I could. However, before exiting my truck, I ensured that my gun was ready in the back seat. I approached the man and asked, "What seems to be the problem, sir?" He emerged from under the vehicle, holding a wheel brace and a long pipe, which I found unusual. I maintained some distance as he pointed under the vehicle, indicating I should inspect it. I shook my head in disagreement and informed him that I was going to examine the car more thoroughly for any additional damage. It appeared to me that his issue wasn't under the vehicle. While I was examining the vehicle from the front, the headlights suddenly became blindingly bright, and it became apparent that there was someone else in the van. Startled, I shouted, "Hey, what are you doing, man?" But the person who had nodded earlier was still at the other end of the vehicle, talking to others in the distance. I backed away and saw about 10 people approaching from the side of the highway, carrying various weapons like bats and chains. The person with the pipe was handed the pipe by the one who had turned on the headlights. My heart sank for a moment, and the situation felt eerie and surreal. But my fear turned into a surge of adrenaline and anger. I reached for my Glock, which I had placed behind me, and fired 2 warning shots into the air. Instantly, all of them began running back to where they had come from. The 2 individuals closest to me also fled. I moved back to my truck with both hands, gripping the gun defensively. I departed from the scene rapidly, as if pursued by a raptor, shaking from the encounter for a few minutes. I learned a valuable lesson that day: never assist strangers on the highway after dark, unless you are confident in your knowledge of them. This story occurred in April when I was a senior in high school. I had spent my entire life in the Midwest, and I eagerly awaited my spring break to visit more exciting destinations. That year, my friend Mary, who was 3 years older than me and dating my best friend Josh, invited me to Oregon. Mary was moving to Oregon that week, which made it a perfect opportunity for me to travel with her. We set off on our journey on a Friday at 10:30 p.m., which might seem like an odd time to depart, but it allowed us to bypass the Chicago traffic in the middle of the night. Our road trip took us through flat and mundane farmland throughout most of Saturday. We did have the chance to visit Badlands National Park, which was a welcome change of scenery. Around 11 p.m., both of us were exhausted, so we decided to book a hotel in Montana, roughly 3 hours away from our location. As we entered an area with numerous Native American reserves, we encountered only one other car on the road, a large white truck that had been behind us for a while. After a few miles on this road, the truck began tailgating us aggressively. We slowed down to let it pass, and it did so, accelerating once again. We presumed it was a local who was familiar with the road and felt comfortable speeding. We took the opportunity to follow suit, speeding down the road to get to our hotel faster. However, we soon realized that this road had no connecting roads, driveways, or stores. It was just an empty plain for miles. Mary decided to pull over to the side of the road to switch drivers. As she started to pull over, a set of bright headlights suddenly appeared from behind and seemed to be dangerously close to her car. The truck ran us off the road, almost causing a collision. After regaining control, we came to a stop and wondered what had just happened. Before we could say anything, the truck pulled off about 15 yards ahead of us. My heart sank as I told Mary not to get out of the car and to keep driving without stopping. She was visibly shaken at this point, but not entirely convinced of the danger. However, She saw my fear and cautiously merged back onto the road. The truck in front must have noticed our movement and began driving as well. We stopped once more, and the truck stopped about a quarter-mile ahead. It turned off into a patch of trees and switched off its headlights. I was certain now that the truck was following us. I called Josh for a third opinion, but he wasn't inclined to assume the worst and believed it could be a coincidence. He suggested that we keep driving and stay cautious. So we continued, driving for another 20 minutes without spotting the truck. However, as we passed through a small town, I saw the truck parked at a stop sign on a side road with its lights off. As we drove by, the truck turned on its lights and started following us again. Mary was now convinced, so she immediately called 911. Unfortunately, we were in the middle of nowhere, and her phone kept dropping the call. The dispatcher couldn't pinpoint our location and asked where we were. My phone's map wouldn't load either, so we felt helpless. The truck overtook us once more, and I urged Mary to speed up so that I could write down its license plate number. We managed to get the number right before the truck sped away out of sight. The dispatcher finally found our location and instructed us to head to the nearest police station, about 15 minutes away. She also advised us not to stop driving, as the person following us was skilled at predicting our movements. The fear was palpable as we realized the stalker knew our location even when we didn't. He was always one step ahead. We received a police escort to our hotel, and the rest of our trip proceeded as normal. We never learned if the person following us was caught or what their intentions were. Nonetheless, this chilling encounter still haunts me, and I'm always reminded of it when I see a white truck during long road trips. Always remain vigilant when traveling and be cautious of who's behind you.